Hey, it's Rob again, and here to review Supremecustoms Valencia's Power Plus Superpowers action figures. Before I even get into kind of the history of the Power Plus line and why these are so cool, first of all, I think some of you remember seeing Supremecustoms Valencia kind of come onto the scene a few months ago, and maybe they had been there a little bit longer than that, but my first notice of them was when a post was created around a Fortress of Solitude playset that was compatible with the Superpowers line. That had referenced, I think, a design that was done earlier by Toy Otter. There was some box art, or Toy Otter or someone else had created some box art around a Fortress of Solitude playset, and this design had referenced that faithfully and created just a full working scale Fortress of Solitude that was really a joy to behold. So was excited to hear also that Supremecustoms Valencia was producing figures and a couple of other items that are very, very interesting that we'll talk about in other reviews. But one of the things that jumped out was that there were Power Plus Superpowers figures available, and these figures were available painted at a fairly good price point. And if you go to their website or go to their Facebook page and inquire with a direct message, they will send you a pricing list with painted or unpainted options, and you can get your hands on these very cool figures. So that kind of brings us to the Power Plus line. And for those of you who recall, based on Toy Otter's research, there was going to be a Superpowers Power Plus line. There was potential to be one. Some speculation that it could have occurred in portions of Wave 3 that ended up, getting shelved or moved on from at that point. Could have been sort of a deluxe line that was separate from the original line, maybe with a higher price point. But really, really interesting line to behold in that it held a few key members of the team. Batman, Robin, Superman, Cyborg, Firestorm, I believe, were the key members. And years later, we found out there was also a Darkseid figure available, which we'll talk about as well. I'm going to put him in another review. But for here, we'll cover these three figures. And really excited to kind of see these finally made in figure form. I know that Toy Otter himself was going to produce, or was planning on producing some of these figures as well. I'm excited to see what those look like when they come out. I'm sure there'll be some design differences that are notable, and I'll probably end up getting those. And I know that I think Pat Crawford or Repo Bubbles back in the day had produced some of these figures as well. So it's cool that we get to see a new version of them. And let's start here with Batman right at the beginning. And you can see the Batman figure. First of all, love the paint job. Love that sort of dark blue color that we get to see here. That dark blue metallic sheen looks really, really good on the figure. And by the way, these are resin, but what's really, really cool about this resin is these are not held together by the traditional magnets, at least as far as I can tell. And I'm trying to be careful with these figures and not knock them around too much, but it appears that these are pegged. So Supremecustoms Valencia has at least figured out a way to get the arms and legs pegged, similar to what some of the resin designers have done in the Star Wars community. So what we see here, again, really, really cool figure. Love the design aesthetic. The Batarang, which a part of the original line, I believe this is sort of a grapple hook that came out from the belt. That does not happen here. And just a couple other things to point out. There are sort of removable arms that come with this. The yellow arms on the sides are removable. And they sort of fit nicely into the control in each of the hands. Those controls are standard. They are static there. They do not come out as far as I can tell. Haven't really tried to push it that far to see if they could, but I don't believe they come out. But once you get them placed, they will fit in nicely. Placement was a little bit difficult. As you can see in the back, wasn't perfect. I've not been able to get them sort of fully placed in. You can get them into place if you want, but since it's resin, it can be brittle. I'm trying to be as careful as I can. And it's interesting to see this at first, because I thought for sure it was PLA plastic, but after asking them, they said, oh, it's resin, and I can sort of see where that's the case. Now the detail is just a bit higher quality than sometimes you get with PLA, but overall, love the paint, love the design aesthetic, love the Bat logo on the back, and I actually love the mask. So I love at least part of the mask, and one of the things that's interesting is we kind of got a 50-50 mask. You'll see on the right side of the figure, you have the mask, and there isn't a cut going up into the side of the face. You'll see on this one, this little jut that goes up into the side of the mask. And oh, I love this so much. I love it. I wish it would have just had one or the other on this. Actually, I wish I could get both heads, one with without the jet, one with the jet. Jets on both sides, one without jets. I think that'd be very, very cool to see. But this is kind of becoming to me like a flight suit Batman of some kind, a very early version of a flight suit Batman that could work very, very well with a Batwing or other cool accessories. So like this figure a lot, and like the addition to the line. So let's actually go into Robin for a minute. These figures, by the way, one thing to point out, they don't necessarily stand perfectly. They look great. They do not stand great. So you got to be a little bit judicious about how you pose them. But, you know, again, love the design aesthetic overall. Love the paint job. Very clean for the most part. There are a couple of things on here that, yeah, I think could be a little bit better. It'd be awesome. Logo printing here, probably about as good as it can be at that level with finite detail, unless you're Roan Bella at, you know, RB Customs. It's pretty hard to replicate that level of detail. One thing to point out too, and you'll notice on the yellow on this and the Batman figure, I do love kind of this alien sort of yellow design aesthetic that you might see on the APC loader, you know, the mech that was used in Aliens. Love that kind of yellow look, and it just fits perfectly with Robin. This accessory on the back is in fact a magnet, pops right off. So I believe this could have been shot off his back at some point as part of the original line. This was a separate accessory. It is separate here. And, you know, the only sort of weakness I see on the back, I love the detail here. Just do not love the painting on this logo, this R, but hey, I can totally sympathize with this because, you know, some of you have seen my Guy Gardner figure, and while I love that figure to death, getting that logo right is one of the hardest things in the world. So that is far better than I could have done on my own, and still love every part of this. So it's funny because someone in the comments, I posted a picture of this recently, someone in the comments said, you know, I kind of get a Starscream vibe from Robin and potentially Batman because you've got the intake sort of poking out here at the top of the shoulders. It's kind of a funny comparison, but yeah, definitely cool figures. And, you know, these would have been a fine addition to the Superpowers line back in the day. So let's take a look finally at Superman. Very cool figure, and, you know, similar to Batman, he's got this very, very cool metallic blue. It's a little bit darker version of the blue, and he has the helmet, and this helmet is magnetized to the figure. There's a little magnet on the back. It sits into connects on this very, very top section, and you'll see he's got some very cool sort of reverse eyes here. So white eyes on kind of the black eye slot gives you that feeling that he's going to cut loose with heat vision or x-ray vision of some kind, and just gives you that very, very cool feel. Gloves are interesting, and I do think this was supposed to be originally part of the figure. I'm not quite sure why they had it there, but of course this is, I believe, a Kryptonite suit, so Superman trying to be as protective as possible. And yes, you can see on the back there is this little Kryptonite accessory, which is very, very cool. Does come out, does magnetize nicely, so you can use this as a separate accessory. But overall, just really, really good quality. Love the addition to the line. Love how it looks, love how it feels. Again, the only challenge is it can't stand that well. So these are kind of the three key Power Plus Superpowers figures I was able to order. And, you know, hopefully Supremecustoms Valencia will produce more in the future. And highly recommend their stuff. Highly recommend it. If you have a chance, go out, ask about pricing. Again, you have to inquire through their Facebook page. It's a fairly straightforward process. Very responsive, and, you know, gave them kind of a crazy complicated order with a lot of different things. And while it took a couple months to produce, they were very, very good about communicating and getting me everything that I needed, and doing a really, really or doing a really good job with everything. There was a little bit of just paint transfer as things, you know, shipped in sort of a tight container. They were well protected, and with bubble wrap. The paint combination is so good. It is a little bit wet still, the paint, if that makes sense. And because of that, you saw a little bit of paint transfer onto the bubble that they sent, the bubble wrap, but it really doesn't show up anywhere on the figures except for one that I'm going to review in another listing, but it doesn't take away from any of the quality at all or any of the work. Just a great job overall. So yeah, so they're from Spain. Again, you know, you heard early on people talking about very fast shipping. I know they shipped this early in the week. I think it was on Monday. It got here on Friday in the US. So really, really fast turnaround. And again, love the great work. So check out Supreme Customs Valencia, and again, feel free to leave your comments below and subscribe to the channel. Thanks. Bye.